Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Athlete Cafe.
Hi guys, I'm Carly, former collegiate lacrosse player.
I'm Abby, former gymnast and collegiate dancer.
I'm Frances, former collegiate track athlete.
And I'm Emily, former collegiate volleyball player. Let's get into today's topics and see what's on the menu.
Large cappuccino. Orders up.
What? You know what?
What?
We are here, dude.
We are here. We finally made it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mental Breakdown. We have been waiting for this moment for months now. We got a lot of approval. And for the work for this, we just had to we convinced our bosses to let us watch the Super Bowl, basically.
We have. Yeah, that was definitely a on the job working time.
Tough convincing, but you know, we're pretty good at it. And speaking of we should probably introduce ourselves, as this is our first episode ever of this, and hopefully we can does well where we can continue. So
absolutely.
You can go first there.
Take away.
Yeah.
My name is Braden. You've probably seen me on other podcast things here at Sharpen Skills, but I'm also on the Athlete Cafe. But again, as Michael said, this is Mental Breakdown. This is our own podcast, and we will be breaking down the Super Bowl today. But
as Braden just said there, I'm Michael, and we work at Sharpen Skills Training out in Brunswick, but off of the Athlete Cafe podcast, we are both mental performance coaches. So this is going to be a, couple weeks after the Super Bowl has happened, but for those that are missing football, don't worry, you're going to get a brand new take at this. We are going to break this down from a mental standpoint, as is our job to work with athletes and all types of other performers out there across different sports. But as you can tell from our jerseys, our favorite sport is football, right? As is most of America. So
yes, absolutely. Big
Braden,
following.
Yeah, whose jersey you repping today?
I am repping
the
infamous Josh Allen, 2025 MVP and Super Bowl winner. But Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, 100% is my team. Wouldn't wear any other jersey, maybe besides Stephon Diggs' jersey, but no other team besides the Buffalo Bills. So you got some different colors on over there. If you want to break down what you got.
Yeah, different colors, as in the GOAT, undisputed Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time with the New England Patriots, as you see before you.
He has the rings.
Jersey. He's got the rings. He's got the bling, and I think it's time to start breaking this down.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's get this started.
Let's get it started.
Been a long time coming.
Long time coming.
Absolutely.
Average price of an ad in the Super Bowl for 30 seconds this year, $7.5 million.
$7.5 million.
But we're going to provide more entertainment than that. Starting off, kickoff, Super Bowl. Here we go. Biggest game in North American sports, 8th largest event in the world viewing-wise.
Let's imagine Butker's just thought process here. All eyes across the nation are on him right now.
All
to
eyes.
Kick one. Yeah.
Here we go. It kicked off and
Ray McLeod.
Touchback. Nothing too spectacular there.
Nothing too spectacular, but that moment is very iconic in the Super Bowl. The first kickoff. That's just,
First kickoff.
Cameras are flashing. Yeah. Here we go. Brock Purdy.
Lights, camera, action. This man.
Brock Purdy.
He's going to gym dance a little bit. Lowest drafted quarterback to start in a Super Bowl ever. This man right here. Mr. Irrelevant.
There it is. Mr. Irrelevant.
Now we're gonna stop here. What is going through his head here? What do you think? Obviously first play call here, Super Bowl for Brock Purdy, first snap.
Yeah.
What do you think's going through his head?
It's got to be a lot, right? I mean, just for him to be in this position, he's talked about it many times before, and actually other podcasts as well. But and also that media row they do 2 weeks before. But I think there's definitely got to be a lot of nerves for sure. I mean, as a quarterback that's never played in a Super Bowl, got a lot of new guys as well. I would probably suspect a lot of nerves for the first snap. I'm sure throughout the whole game there was probably, maybe got more comfortable that first snap of the game.
Right.
probably a lot of nerves. What do you think?
First snap, yeah, ton of nerves, right? Everything. This is what you play for. This is what you practice for all year, right?
Yeah.
When you start OTAs, when you start the involuntary workouts, right? This is what you're gearing towards, is to play in this game. And there's only 2 teams, and at the end of this, right, we're about to start 60 minutes away, right? One team's left standing, right? And that's what these guys play for. That's what they want. That's what they compete for every single day. That's what they dreamed of since they were a kid, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, first play, a lot of nerves, like you said. And I mean, we all kind of know what's going to happen here next, right?
Yep. Even
Nerves
even
aside,
nerves aside.
All right. And why wouldn't you go with Offensive Player of the Year here, right? Christian
Sure,
McCaffrey.
right to Christian McCaffrey.
Hand the ball off,
And
right?
that is just that's just like a very, not that it's a bad play, but very comfortable play, right? Get your quarterback into the game, right? Don't make first play of the game. Why throw it 70 yards or 60 yards down the field? Get him a good, first play, first couple plays. Give it to your, literally, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Why not, right? Gain that confidence early on.
Leads the NFL in rushing, and you just got to give him the rock, right?
You got to give him the rock. Got to give your best players the ball.
San Fran off that drive, right? 3-0 San Francisco, Kansas City, right? How will they answer? How will the defending champs answer in this game?
Drive down the field.
And here we go.
It's block. And disaster strikes in the beginning of the Super Bowl, right? All is unwell on that sideline. The fumble coming out. Kansas City, no points in the whole first quarter. Comes out, finally has a successful drive somewhat, and then fumbles on what? Was it around the 10, 12-yard line, somewhere around there?
Right, you're in the red zone. Red zone turnovers, right? Deadly in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Recovery, right? All of that. So off of that, right? What goes through your head? You're the running back, right? What are you thinking about, right? I fumble the football. How do you go back out there, right? You have to, first of all, right? What do you have to do? You have to go back out.
Yeah, no, I think especially whether it's a Super Bowl or any game, right? You got to have a short memory, especially in football, because football it's a long game. So a fumble in the first quarter, second quarter, first half, whatever it is, you got to be able to put that aside. I know it's tough. Like when the biggest game of the year, how do you let that go, right? How do you let that fumble go and then proceed forward? But that's just something in football and also just in almost any sport. You make a mistake early like that. It can't destroy your whole day. So, and you will see obviously later on how it does not.
Right? How do you still compete, right? You're down, you're driving, momentum's on your side. You have that energy with you, right? You're getting this boost. Mm-hmm. And then, this is something that we have to talk with athletes a lot of times, right? How do you recover from a mistake, right? What is that emotional release that you might need? Mm-hmm. How do you mentally reset? How do you have that, lack of a better term, that amnesia, right? To just forget, move on, next drive, right? And what do you do? Do you still do you protect the ball more? Are you worrying about that? Or do you need to worry about what you need to execute? And that's the biggest thing that I always talk about with athletes, right? How do you reframe this negative pressure, right? You don't go back out there and think, don't turn the ball over, right? Mm-hmm. When you say that, right, mentally you're then thinking, I'm going to go turn the ball over, right? How many different ways can I turn the ball over? So I'm going to punch it out. Am I just going to fumble it? Is there going to be a missed exchange? And it's like, no, what do I need to do to execute? Hold on, secure the ball, run outside the tackle, right? Mm-hmm. Which gap am I running in towards?
Right.
What's the play? Where do I need to be, right? What do I need to execute? Not what don't I need to execute?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, I think.
And you also got Pacheco, again, a great running back, but he's got a full season and a full career of he's had fumbles in the past, right? Like he's had a full season with the Chiefs. There's a reason they're in the Super Bowl, and he's one of the reasons, right? Like not forgetting about that, right? Not forgetting about how great of a running back you actually are and how one fumble is not going to destroy your whole day here. But yes, reframing is definitely, I totally agree.
Yeah,
that's
reframing, motivation too, right? Like you don't want this play to define the season, the Super Bowl, and your career, right? So from a motivation standpoint, use that, being like, well, how can I make a play without overextending and overplaying too, right? That's the key thing here.
That is good. Absolutely.
Next clips is one of my favorite.
Here we go.
Next clips is one of my favorite.
What everyone's been waiting for.
Really
right?
talked about, really discussed here.
Yep. Here we
All
go.
right, so we have the fumble. This is the next one.
Travis Kelce.
Oh,
boy.
No issues, right? Doing good. What is going on here?
What's going on here? Bumping his coach a little bit, getting in his face. Would you like to start
I
this
mean,
one off, because I know we probably have a lot to say on this one.
I
so.
think this is one of the clips that is now one of the biggest memes in social media right now.
Absolutely.
I see it all over the place on TikTok and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Right? What is going on in this exchange, right? And I think years from now we're gonna finally figure out what was said. Hopefully, right? This entire field is mic'd up.
Yes,
right?
we're eventually going to figure out.
We'll know at some point.
Yep.
But I mean, this year, it's just, for me, it teaches young athletes a bad message, right? This point, Travis Kelce, I think, has one catch, one target, maybe. He was off the field when Pacheco fumbled on the previous play we just watched, and he's just upset, right? This man's a competitor. He wants to be out there. He wants to compete. He wants the ball, right? For those Swifties out there, right? Taylor Swift wants to get into the game as much as possible, too,
she definitely
right?
wanted
Get
to
it
get into the
hyped
game
up.
as much as possible.
He wants the ball, right? You got to get the best players the ball. He's upset, clearly, and I think this shows the wrong message, especially after, right, with what happened in the game, right? We know he goes on, has a great Super Bowl, lots of catches, lots of yards, and this exchange maybe to some athletes shows that, hey, if I just shove around the coach, yell, and I can get what I want, and that's not what this is showing, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
what are your
definitely.
thoughts?
Definitely not the message you want to be sending to younger athletes or any athletes in general, because, again, as you pointed perfectly, shoving your coach, getting in his face, like that's not, for one, that's not how, like, just team behavior and just like good, I don't know, just being a good teammate and working with your coaches, working with your other teammates. That's really not how that's supposed to work in a way. That's definitely not a good representation of what you really want, just because he wasn't in on a play. I mean, it's crazy. And again, it's interesting because there is, as you mentioned, there's a lot of mic'd up stuff during the sideline. So it will be interesting in years in the future if we can ever hear what clip or what actually he did say in that moment. But any other further thoughts on, I don't know, from Andy Reid's perspective?
I think
maybe?
From Andy Reid, right, head coach, highly respected, been doing this a long time, and this is a team cohesion thing, right? He has let the locker room, not saying that this is bad or good, right? He has complete control of the locker room. He wants his guys to do this, right? And he even said that in his comments afterwards, right? Like, I needed that push. I needed that shove. I needed to coach better, right? This man has been in the NFL for ages, right? And has won Super Bowls, won a lot of games, and, he needs that push, right? And if it's the players giving him a push, that's part of it, right? Coach K, for basketball, for Duke, former coach, loved egos. Doesn't want these guys to check their egos at the door. And I think that's kind of what Andy Reid has here, right? He's a lot of egos on the team, and usually that's a negative word, but for those guys, it's positive, right? I need you to be you, right? And that's, I think, what the message should be, not as much as like, this is a temper tantrum, but I need you to be you, and I need you to put this energy, right, into the field, onto the field.
And one other point too, like, again, do we condone shoving the coach or pushing the coach rather than getting his face? No.
We condone this.
No, we do condone. No, but I will say the energy and what he's bringing, though, like, I do like the fact, if there's one thing to take away from it, one positive thing to take away from it, it shows that he cares. It shows that he, there's a lot of players who be like, oh, whatever. I think it was Justin Watson, whoever the other tight end was on the field, kind of missed his block there. Pacheco, fumbled the ball. He could be like, oh, well, whatever. And it just kind of like didn't show any emotion, right? But the fact that he did show emotion, to me, in one retrospect, shows that he cares.
Right.
I don't know if you
Yeah, no, definitely shows that he cares, and I think that this is now the most important moment, right? As an athlete, after you have that blow up, right, you sit with that, right? You have to sit with that. You sit with your thoughts, and here, one of the things that I like to talk with athletes is a lot of like conscious breathing techniques. Calm down, relax, right? Physiologically calms you when you focus on your breathing and taking deep breaths, and I think that's hopefully what Travis is doing here, right, on the sideline afterwards, right? Relaxing, taking that breather, get some water, think through everything, and think how he can channel that energy that he had right onto the field.
Right. Slow the game down, right? Like, think he's probably having 1,000 thoughts in his head right now. Just slow the game down mentally. It's good.
Let's see what we got up next year, right? Wants it. This is something, as a former sports media communications minor here. The announcer jinx, right? Do you believe in it? Is it a thing or not? I mean, we're gonna hear it a little bit on this clip.
Yeah.
100-something plus punts, right, in the NFL, and none's been returned for a touchdown, right? As soon as I heard that, right, 10-6, 2.5 minutes left. Momentum squarely with San Francisco.
And then,
and a muffed punt.
yeah.
And as you're going to hear the broadcasters, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo say, you knew something was coming there, Jim. You knew something was happening.
Tony Romo. Well, you know what? The one point about that, too, momentum, right? Momentum is not going to be something you're going to see on a stat sheet. But that right there just shows you can see the body language. Look at the 49ers versus the Chiefs. Right after that, obviously hits the guy's foot, but momentum and how big that played into that moment. You know what? Yes, it was a big play in terms of it gave the Kansas City Chiefs not only just the ball back, but the ball back in good field position. But the momentum and the feeling of what they got, the exhilaration of now we got the ball back. Now inside what? I believe it was inside the red zone here. Are we inside the 20?
They're inside the red zone. They're close to it.
Close to it.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling is flipping. The momentum is flipping, and that's huge. That's huge. That's something that's not a measured statistic in an NFL or really any game. You can't really measure that. That's just something you see and you hear, and definitely played a big part.
Part of the reason why we wanted to do this podcast, right? How do you measure? How do you work on this mental stuff, right? Yep. How do you work on the mental game of sports? And that's kind of right. There's a lot of physical components here, right? There's a lot of mental components in this clip too, right?
Yep.
Right here, that you see, right? We paused, right? He's pointing out, right? This is communication at its finest, right? That's a physical, mental skill. It's a blend of both, right? Right, trying to say, right, as I think Romo said on the broadcast, you have some word, right, Peter, whatever it is, to have people get out of the way, the ball's bouncing, right?
Yep.
And, I can't think of McLeod, right? He's pointing out he saw it too bounce off his teammate's ankle. That's why he had to go for it, right? Originally.
Yeah, because everyone originally when they watched it was like, why would he go for the ball? Yeah, because it went up for
So part of it's great awareness on his part a little bit, right? Stinks you can't get this right here, right? Concentration, focus. He had some of it, but it's just a grab for the ball at this point, right?
Awareness.
You have communication, awareness.
That's just unfortunate, the announcer jinx.
Right? The announcer jinx, if you believe in it,
come through. You know what? It's tough not to believe after watching something like that. For the ball to hit his
Look at that.
back of his foot.
So I mean, off of that, right? One of the big things with punt returning, something that I read more so with rugby, but can translate over to the NFL, is like when they have to receive a kickoff and they have to try to receive the ball, right? Your arms, right, when they're like this, right, it's a very tense moment. It's a tense moment to try to receive a ball, right, tracking it out of the air. And a lot of times, right, your muscles tense up. And one of the things that you can work on as an athlete is this progressive muscle relaxation, right? So if you can breathe your muscle, right, breathe through and tense your muscles in that moment, right, they're going to be less tense, right, if you were to muff up punt, which right. I believe we have a clip possibly later on.
We do.
We do. But right, Kansas City off that strikes immediately, right? 1 or 2 plays, 13-10 game, and momentum has shifted at this point, right? Brock Purdy now has to try to take over and take control.
Brock Purdy in shotgun. Nobody in the backfield. I mean, he's got a couple extra people on the line to help block, but just him sitting back there about 5 yards back.
3rd and 5.
3rd and 5, big play.
Well, let's roll here. Let's roll. Here it is. Connects.
Great read. Right.
Huge.
Very, very calm too, right? Like he knew his read. He knew, hey, we're not going to do anything crazy here. We're looking for the hot route. Look, he was looking one way, looking for his first option. Guy was open, and again, I think that's one thing about the Super Bowl that you can take away mentally as quarterback, especially, is you don't always need to make the big splash plays. Just make the plays that are open, right? I know it's said all the time, whatever the defense take whatever the defense is giving you, but just understand that you don't need that 50-yard bomb. You don't need always that big play. It's nice to have for sure, but if you can just kind of make your read, right? Make your simple reason, understand that, hey, what do I have to do in this moment to be successful? Well, it's 3rd and 5. We need a first down. We don't need a 40-yard pass. We need a first down. So let's accomplish that small goal. Right.
And I think coming into this game, right, a lot of big commentators, a lot of people are like, what happens, right? This 49ers need to play from ahead, right? They're behind finally. Brock has to, right, be the guy, right? He has to be the guy. He has to execute. And right, they're talking about all these pre-snap things happening beforehand, right? The awareness, where are guys moving, what's the defense look like, read and react to that, and then make the play. And that's what you see here, right? And it's great, it's awesome, it's execution, it's all this stuff. It's your focus, it's your concentration, and it's your ability and desire to want it, right? It's that motivation piece that's so huge, right?
Want it.
You gotta want it.
Also, what are your thoughts on Juwan Jennings, a guy that, I mean, it's not that, I mean, he's a great wide receiver, but if you watch the 49ers season, not really in a lot of the game plans. It's been Ayuk, it's been McCaffrey some days, it's been Kittle, right? Debo Samuel. And this guy comes out in the Super Bowl and just is like lighting up. Thoughts on Juwan Jennings making a big impact as a, wide receiver 3 or 4?
Yeah,
Something
3
like
or 4.
that?
I mean, there's a lot of weapons on this offense, and I
Yeah.
think that's something, for a lot of teams and athletes out there. If you are on the bench, if you're riding the bench, if you aren't getting the starting minutes you feel like you deserve or want, right? You have to go out there and prove it, right? It's not like you should feel you be out there. Yes, absolutely. But when you do get those minutes, how can you make the most out of that time when you get it?
Totally agree.
And I think that's what Juwan did in the Super Bowl. I think a lot of it too was matchups and the fact that he has a unique skill set. Obviously, the first touchdown the 49ers scored, he threw it, right? He can throw the football. He passed out of a type of set there to McCaffrey, but they score, right?
Yep,
they get what they need to.
They do.
And then more
Disaster.
chaos happens.
More
16-13, 11:22 left in the fourth quarter, and Money Moody, as they used to call him at Michigan, right? Here's the kick, and I don't see the ball. It doesn't see it go through, and it is blocked.
Yep.
Let's talk about this too, right? Earlier in the Super Bowl, we had an exchange of kicks, a 55 and a 57-yard field goal. Both the longest kicks at Super Bowl history at the time, right?
Crazy.
Butker went up with the 57, Moody's with the 55, but right now it's a 3-point game. And that mindset of how you approach it changes drastically, right? As a defense, you can probably speak to this better than I can as a former football player here, right? But now you have Pat Mahomes, you're the defense, and I can't let up, right? If you're up 4, you can let up a field goal, right? Technically in your head, right? Maybe you're not thinking that at all, but what do you have to think as a defense here, right? You're up 3. What goes through your head?
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, as you're saying, up. Let's say the extra point was made, right? They're up by 4. As a defense, you're like, not that you would allow them to like just run down the field or do whatever, but like this kind of have like the bend but don't break type of defense. But now in this moment, it's a field goal game. Now your field of play shrinks from don't let them in the end zone to don't let them to around the 35, 40-yard line, because Butker could knock what was it earlier in the game, 57 or 56
57.
Now your field of play is like, we can't even let them like 20 more yards or 25 more yards from when they are now. So as a mindset, as a defensive player, your thought is, they don't technically have to drive the whole field. Obviously they're trying to. They only have to get 25, 30 yards. They can tie this game up. So it becomes very tight. The mindset more so is like, we can't. It's not that you don't play loose, but you can't go out there with the idea of like, letting up this play, easy plays over here. You got to really tighten up the defense, because your field shrinks from like 25, 30 yards to they're on the 40. So that's 50. That's 60 yards until like the actual goal line to the end zone. So
yeah, it's definitely tough. And the point you kind of brought there with the bend don't break, the classic big Patriots line. I'm sure everyone's heard it before, right? Just do your job, right? Do your job. Execute, right? What do you need to do? What do you need to do specifically, right? Not the whole thing. Don't overthink this, right? What's my assignment? How can I execute that to the best of my ability, right? That's what we need to think about in this instance. It's not like don't let Pat Mahomes drive down the field, right? And then I think the really interesting thing all the times with these players that I love hearing, and it's something that I've thought about a lot in a weird way, is like they call him by the number, right? It's not a name, it's a number, right? They're probably like, don't let 15 do what he needs to do here, right? It's not like, don't let Pat Mahomes, this magical aura, right? Don't let Brady, right, march down the field and drive, whatever it is, right? It's don't, right, stop 15. How do I stop 87, right? And you associate the numbers to it, and I think that simplifies the game so much more for these players sometimes.
Yeah, and like they're having that win mentality, right? The what's important now.
Right.
That's it. I mean, you're up by 3 in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. I mean, you probably played really hard throughout the game, but the game's not over. And so what's important now in this moment?
And here we go. Let's see what's
what
happening.
Let's see the result here.
The result, Pacheco, right? Back at it again from the fumble, right? They didn't take him out. They didn't bench him. You've seen that with other running backs in Super Bowl sometimes, right? When they make the mistake, we're going to shift guys. This is one of my favorite sound bites right here of this game. Arik Armstead, right? He's the guy leading the group chat, getting the mindset. He's the veteran. He's the guy. He's that mindset thing, right? That veteran leadership role, right? That's why it's that captain patch on, right? As you can kind of see here, we paused it, right? The captain patch there, another example on Pat Mahomes, of course, right? But right, that leadership role, right? Getting the guys' energy right, getting their headspace right, getting their mindset right, and that's Arik Armstead on that defensive side for the ball for the 49ers. And I just liked that was in there, right? Something that you get to hear more with the Super Bowl, right? There's huge media coverage, and you get to talk to every single player on the roster, right? They have to be available. Case in point, the famous Marshawn Lynch, line, "I'm here so I don't get fined," right? Everyone has to speak. You can ask any questions when you're at that media day, and that's one of the things that kind of answered is like, I'm the one that kind of sets this right. I talk to the guys, I text the guys, right? He's that veteran leader, and that's so important, especially on a youngish type team with the 49ers, especially, right? You need that guy to kind of just keep everyone calm, cool, collected, under control. Here's what we need to do, guys, right? We're up 3. We have the lead, right?
Leadership is massive. It means so much to a team. Again, not a measured statistic by any means, right? You can't measure leadership, but mentally to have somebody that, if you are a younger, either on offense or a defensive player, somebody that's been there before, has done it, and can basically rally your whole group, all 11 guys in the field on either side, say, hey, this is what we're doing in this moment. Relax, right? Taking control, the leader take control of the moment. Say, all these young guys, it's first Super Bowl, they're probably too many thoughts very sporadic in their head. Leadership is huge. And again, it's great that they put that on the broadcast. On the broadcast.
Gotta love it.
Here. Absolutely.
So this is the moment time you live for.
This is it.
16-all, right? Basically 0-0. 5:46 left in the Super Bowl. Ball just kicked off, right? The Chiefs do it. They get that field goal that they needed. And now it's the moment that every kid has dreamed of.
Running on the field, flashing camera, flashing lights, right? And the drive that could literally win you, your city, your legacy, bring a Super Bowl. 5 minutes left. Yep. Unbelievable,
right? This is what every kid has dreamed of. Right?
And then he said, yeah,
there it is.
There it is. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Got a shot to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Ball on the Lombardi Trophy at the 25-yard line. It's just, I agree. It's just everything that you want as a player, as a quarterback.
Tony kind of said it perfectly in that moment, right? Calm down, take a breath, right? Think back, right? And you're a kid, you're in your driveway, you're shooting a basketball, you're playing wiffle ball with your friends, you're playing football with your friends, whatever it is, right? You live for those moments. You count on the clock in your head or out loud, you shoot, right? You make it, you miss, whatever it is, but this is the moment that every athlete wants to compete for, right? You don't want the blowout. You might want the blowout. You might want the win, right? But this is where, right, with going all in, putting all the chips in, right? Can I execute? Can we go and win this game, right? Can I go and win this game? Can we win this game, right? This is a team sport. There's not really, right? You need to execute your role, but we need to do this as a team and accomplish. And that's what I liked in that. I just loved in that gameplay, right? And
Jennings
instantly connects. Jennings.
And you know what? Kind of bring back to the point you said earlier too. Even if you are, I love that point. If you are the 4th or 5th wide receiver, it doesn't mean you can ever make an impact, right? I mean, this dude, Juwan Jennings, not that he had a bad season, he had very average season, but I mean, again, 49ers have a lot of great players on their team, but this guy came out in the Super Bowl, threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown. Nobody really seen Juwan Jennings coming out and doing stuff like that as a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. So. Right. I mean, you can make an impact. It doesn't really matter where you are on the roster. You can take advantage of your opportunities, and you definitely did here. Yeah, for sure.
16-all, 2:18 left, 3rd and 4, and we see this man warming up after missing the extra point. His last kick, he was out there, he missed it, right? Yep. How do you recover? How do you come back like we talked about earlier, right? This man's done this so many times in his career, right? Money Moody, can he make the money kick again to give his team the lead? Can he get the 49ers the lead, right? Or are the 49ers going to execute here, right, and get this 3rd down? Right, and try to drain the clock from Patrick Mahomes, right? Because that's what this broadcast is talking about right now. Will Patrick Mahomes get the football back? Can the Kansas City Chiefs answer? Right. So this is the big moment I like to talk about so much because it's practiced a lot in football, right? And we practice it in other sports as well. Pressure scenarios. 2 minutes left in the biggest game possibly of your life, of your career, right? What do you need to do? So,
Will Lombardi.
Money Moody makes the kick. 1960, minute 38 left, and you see this man, the defending Super Bowl champion, on the other side, right? And are you thinking what are you thinking in your head, right?
I'm thinking PTSD, to be honest with you. That's what I got. PTSD. It don't matter who's on the other side of that. You see Patrick Mahomes on the field, the mentality that he has, it's remarkable, honestly, what he can do.
I think the big thing here too, right, is we didn't mention this at the start of the game. For those that do remember, this was the same Super Bowl that was played 4 years ago, right? This is a rematch of that game a little bit.
Yep.
A lot of different faces, a lot of new faces have changed, but this is one of the ones that have remained the same, right? And how does he do it? How does he continually execute down the stretch, right?
Yeah.
How can he continually win games, win close games, right? It's not the refs rigging it, right? It's him executing. And I think one of the biggest things in this research article that I recently read is like a lot of these top guys, right? When you think your Patrick Mahomes, your Tom Brady's, your Josh Allen's, how do they execute? How are they winning? How are they the best, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the fact that they're dipping in play at all, or their play isn't going up. It's actually the fact that these guys are just staying closer to their average, right? And everyone else is dipping drastically. They're not playing to their average or baseline, right? And Pat Mahomes is probably playing to his baseline, maybe a little ahead, but he's not dipping, right? It's steady, and everyone else is kind of declining. That's what research kind of says and shows us, which is fascinating, because you just think these guys are just executing at a high level.
Yeah.
Like, how do they continually do this, right?
And here we go.
Here it is, right?
Here it is.
Stat on the line, right? 5 of 5 career postseason field goal when games tied, trailing 3 points or fewer.
Just what a moment, right, for a kicker. Like, again, he made a bunch of really good kicks throughout the game, but this, even though what is it? How far is it away? I don't know if it's
19 to 16.
Let's see what
I think it's about a 29-yard, 30-yard field goal here.
So it's not a long field goal by any means, especially for Harrison Butker, but still, like, 29? Yeah, 29-yard attempt. Just this moment for him, like, he misses this, it's over, right? It's over. So how do you stay calm, and how do you stay just collected in that moment? You're walking out there, right? Time's not 3 seconds left, or whatever it was, a couple seconds left, and down by 3. Yeah, it's sort of a chip shot field goal. It's not that far up, but still, you got to make it.
Still got to make it.
You still got to make it.
I mean, we saw Gronk in that commercial miss it, right? Pretty easy. Same thing. But what's the key thing, right? What's the key thing that I feel like a lot of kickers do? What do they kind of have? What are they doing before they even get to that kick?
A lot of visual, right? A lot of mental imagery. A lot of, you're walking out there thinking, feeling that you're going to make that kick. You're walking out there before you kick thinking, I hope I don't miss it left, or hope I don't miss it right. There it goes, right? You're walking out there with the visual understanding and also the confidence as well in his leg, thinking, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to tie this game up, and we're going to send this thing to overtime.
Send this thing to overtime.
The confidence.
Yep.
It's a big moment, right? Everyone's watching you, everybody's staring, right? It's just a lot of pressure in that moment, but you got to stay true to what you're good at, and what his skill set's good at is making field goals.
And I think the big thing here too, right, is all these guys have, especially kickers, they have these built-in routines, like you said, right? Yep. It's the imagery, it's the breathing, it's the walking back this many steps, right? I think I saw Justin Tucker talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. There's some grass up, right? There's no wind, it's a stone, but right. You still want to account for that. You want to still stick to your routine. The other big thing here, right, is I think I saw some people say is 49ers have a timeout, right? Why are we trying to ice this guy, right? Let's build up that nerves and pressure, right?
Yep.
Same thing if they did do that, right? What's going to happen here, and what I would think is, if as the kicker, right, I still just work through my routine. I do everything that I normally do, right? This is just another kick, right? That's how you have to think about it. Obviously, the moment's not saying that, but that's how you have to kind of think about it in this moment.
Yeah, and sometimes the athlete, even in the biggest moments, you got to be able to try to put that aside. Like, it's not that Bucker's going out there like, well, it's just any other kick. He knows it's the Super Bowl, right? Just going out, he knows what kind of the moment it is. But again, trusting in his skill sets, trusting in what he knows how to do as an athlete. And just look, when he even went out there to him, like, just
look at that,
so like ice in his veins, man,
ice in his veins. And
Mahomes being a leader, all right, rallying up his
and we're going to overtime.
Unbelievable.
We are going to overtime. First time Super Bowl has gone to overtime since, I think, maybe Super Bowl 51? This man winning it all, right?
That man has won it all many, many times. So,
right?
Yes.
But this is a reset here, right? It's a new game, right? 0-0.
Brand new game.
And right, the other thing,
You'd hope
I
you know
think
the rules,
the
though.
big thing, yeah, exactly right.
You know,
the
go ahead,
rules,
take it over.
the rules, right? Knowing the overtime rules, preparing for that situation and all the scenarios possible, right? You've seen, I think, Kyle Juszczyk, for the fullback for the 49ers, was a big, talking point. He's like, we didn't really know the rules. We didn't know what they're doing, right? So 49ers win the coin toss. They elect to receive.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that choice, that decision, and what do you now need to do as an offense?
All right, so just to answer the first part of that, personally, I do like the decision. I like the aggressive decision because even if they do go down and score touchdown, yes, the Chiefs do get the ball back. Now that's obviously what is it, the day after, wherever the Super Bowl came out, that they thought they won the ball first because they go on touchdown. It's over, right? So, but I do like the aggressiveness of the coach saying, you know what, I put my faith in this offense, and we won the toss. I want the ball, and we're gonna go down there and score. So we're gonna basically would hope to get a touchdown, but then put pressure on Pat to answer back with a touchdown. But I could also see the flip side because now with the rules in place, if you don't, if you defer, you don't get the ball first. You have 4 downs to go.
I have 4 downs. You're gonna give the other team an extra down basically to try to match or beat whatever you have to do. And I think the other big thing here, as a former tennis athlete perspective wise, is like I want to be the one serving first when it's the final set, right? Yeah. I want you to catch up to me. I don't want to have to do it the other way around, right? You have to play catch up. I'm not going to be the one playing catch up. And I think that's also plays into it, right? Maybe, right? I think Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the 49ers, said, I wanted to rest the defense. They were just on that field for the last drive, right? Get them rested and get them ready to go.
Imagine the mentality of Brock Purdy. Like the coach is like, Brock, we're putting you on the field first. We trust you with the ball in your hands to go make us a couple plays.
Right.
Can he do it?
Can he do it? Can he do it a third time? How can you keep doing this?
Can he do it?
Right. And this is building routines. This is building consistency, right?
Yep.
This is the work that you have to kind of put in. And from a mental standpoint, right? In my mind, you reset. It's a new game, right? And let's just go out there, right? We got our plays, probably a couple scripted plays that they had for this overtime. Mm-hmm. And
what a big one this
big
was.
Third down, obviously, right? Midway now through the overtime period, but
playing a cover one looks like.
And Chris Jones game record.
Yep.
So, right, 49ers here, stall out. Gonna have to kick a field goal here.
Moody. Yep.
Right, for the Super Bowl, like Romo says here. Ooh, went way too far. Right, but now the defense is going out there, right? 22-19. And what do you think as a defense, right? Like we said, you're now giving the Chiefs 4 downs to either get a field goal or a touchdown.
Stop. Yep, or a touchdown or stop them as well.
It's the same thing as before, right? They're down only 3. What are you thinking as a defense? What do you need to think as a defense here?
I think as a defense, you gotta. I obviously we all know the final end of the game, but before that, right? The Chiefs had the ball, started the ball in the 25. Obviously drove the ball down the field, but as a defense, it's no longer pretty much like bend but don't break. Like this is like literally a game on the line. If you stop them on a 4th down, it's over. And they had Pat Mahomes. They had the Chiefs. I think it was a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 at one point. He obviously like a QB sneak there, but it's like I think as a defensive point, like this is sort of what you want as well. I want to say this is what they more so dream about because planning this thing. I mean, overtime in the Super Bowl up by 3, you'd hope as a defense you'd probably wouldn't want Pat Mahomes with the ball, only down by 3, drive down the field, but it's do or die for them, and it's a big moment in the game. They had a bunch of opportunities to kind of I guess put the game away during this drive, but it's a mentality of who's going to make the play, who's going to step up and make the play. So somebody's got to either make a play or make a big play. If a pick, a fumble, any of that stuff can end the game.
Right. You're so close. They're gonna have 4 downs to really score here, probably, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And back to the thing that we talked about, right? Start of overtime rules. Chiefs had this prepped and planned for 2 weeks. 49ers, Chris Jones said, and then afterwards, he said, if they scored a touchdown, we had a plan in place where we would score a touchdown and then go for 2 and win the game.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just good coaching. That's all of this. That's team cohesion.
Yeah.
And here, final play of the year,
Hardman.
they get Mecole Hardman back from the Jets, and he
That's
delivers
just a great play, just from a
Kansas
football
City's
standpoint. That's just a great play. But
back-to-back Super Bowl champions, first time since 03-04 Patriots.
all right, take that off the screen.
And Braden's favorite person in the world, Taylor Swift, on the screen. Right. And then all the emotions you have to feel, right? There's a winner, there's a loser. Or as my old tennis coach used to say, you guys came in second place today. And that's just how it works. And that's mentally, how do you have to, cope from this mistake? How are they going to go into next season when not get that Super Bowl hangover effect that's talked about a lot? Mm-hmm. What can you work on, right? The big work with mental performance coaches, because they're embedded in all the NFL staffs, right? Is this work in the off season, right? How can we recover from this? What new skills can I learn and work on? And how can I improve mentally to not let some of the stuff that might linger from this game affect me and go into next season?
Yeah. And the one thing that I always talk about with a lot of athletes I work with too is, learning experiences, right? Like there's like positives that obviously both teams can take away from this game. Obviously in the end there, the Chiefs, probably a little extra positive, but there's positives, and also instead of negatives, there's also learning experiences as well. And, there's a lot that coaches learn from. There's a lot that the players learn from, both physically and mentally. But, you sometimes, you look at the game as, like, if you're on the 49ers staff, as, hey, this is some stuff we really did well. And instead of, I guess, reframing it as, this is things we just didn't do good, and just that's it. Look at it as what you can learn from it, right? Because as you said, when next year rolls around, it's a whole new year. Right. Phrasing.
I think my final point here is like phrasing is everything in this moment. It's like, what did we do? What are the takeaways? What did we do well? Mm-hmm. What do we need to improve on? Right. Because there weren't any weaknesses of this team. Right. Weaknesses are things you don't want to work on or improve. Right. So what are the improvement areas? How can I get better for next time? Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing, I think, for me, for a mental standpoint. And I'll be curious to what your take is just phrase the things correctly. Right. Don't say stupid stuff out loud. That's the big thing for me.
It's how you think about things, right? It's what goes on in between one ear and the other, right? How do you consider, how you break it down mentally, right? If you just think that what you did in this game, there's a lot of negatives or things you can do better, that's great. But you know what? If you can take something away, some positives, some learning experiences, and hopefully build upon those things, it'll just make you a better athlete. And going, I guess, into next season, again, it's a new, fresh year next year. And, there's going to be some teams, like hopefully the 49ers aren't going to be lingering on this for too long, because as I always like to say, this game has been over for what?
A couple weeks now.
Couple weeks now?
Couple weeks.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It is over. It's in the history books. There's not one thing the 49ers can do to go and change that result. It's going to be 25-22, Chiefs winning the Super Bowl forever. Yeah. And there's not one thing you can do about it.
And like you said, what's important now?
What is important now?
That's it. That's cut. Mental breakdown, episode 1. Poof. Check us next time. Confetti.
Insert confetti.
Insert confetti here.
If you like what you're listening to, be sure to follow the Athlete Cafe on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find us wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.